being the incredibly now, and to do this in traffic really takes some doing. But he's multitasking. We're going to bring Lloyd in here. And he's in his car. You're good.
Good. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Good. I can hear you as well. I was a bit worried for a second, thinking, oh, this is going to be an awful, multitasking challenge. But no, it's working so far. The headphones are holding me off.
So how is traffic?
Traffic's horrendous. I'm just between work and just getting from one place to another is absolutely horrendous, which is the case in the UK all the time anyway. So I can't complain. It's their second nature now.
All right. So what we like to do here on the show is we like to circle back with guests and friends and see how things continue to grow and evolve. And with your project and your involvement with what's going on with the Marshall Islands, how is it?
How was the Marshall Islands? It was very, very productive, very positive, and very successful in the sense of we achieved what we wanted to achieve, and we achieved a lot more than that anyway as well. So, we went out with hopes, and we came home with those hopes succeeded, but also we managed to achieve a lot more. So the things of the league creation wasn't even planned. It just naturally happened because of the interest that was there.
Nothing wrong with that. And you've also got, and for those that haven't had the chance to see, there's great pictures and video of your 9-day visit to the Marshall Islands. And I was explaining to folks before you came on that we wanted to have you on, but your travel plan coincided with the wildfires in Hawaii, and you were in the air and trying to work your way back home with all of this. And on the way out, you had delays as well. I mean, getting through all of the travel chaos and still having 9 solid days out there really, I think, where things are growing.
Oh, it's crazy, yeah. I mean, there was a flight cancellation 5-6 hours before the flight to the Marshall Islands from Honolulu. Differences on the way back, it was unbelievable in terms of the challenges that could be thrown in. But like you said, it still actually had a good stint on island. So I think that was the key to it. We still managed to get a lot done overall. It's still a short space of time. But it was long enough to be able to succeed in the things we wanted to do. We wanted to go out to have kids sessions, and we did that with a lot higher numbers than planned. We wanted to have men's sessions, we wanted to have women's sessions, we wanted to have coach education workshops, and we did all that. The good thing about it was, like I said, because there was so much interest in the kids sessions, we were able then to start regular sessions from that. So we have 2 sessions per week now for kids. We have an adult men's league, futsal league. Women's futsal, soccer is going to be a little bit harder to grow. I think that's going to take a little bit longer time, but we will get there. And I think that's where the connections to the US come into play, because we've actually been contacted by 4 teenagers, 13, 14 years old, that are female players in the States that are of Marshallese descent. So long term, if we can get those girls involved, that's great, because hopefully then that can inspire more girls to play, because they can see other people doing the same thing.
What's it been like for you to see this organic growth, whether it's futsal or football, there on the island with the time that you got to spend there?
It was actually quite humbling in the sense of we started it with nothing, and we had this idea of real picture perfect way of getting everyone playing, but we just thought it would take a lot longer. So obviously when we saw kids wanting to play and adults wanting to play, it gave us it gave us a lot of hope that this could work. So it's humbling in that sense, but it's actually really positive in the sense that we can start things a lot sooner. We didn't really expect the kids sessions to be running as quickly as they are. We didn't expect to have a league in place, and bearing in mind we started, swarming out 8 months ago with absolutely nothing, and then even up to 2 months ago, it was absolutely nothing. Now there is actually stuff happening, to the point of next summer we've got the regional tournament with 5 other nations, where the national team can play, albeit in futsal, which there's huge justifications for every nation involved, which makes a lot of sense to play that format of the game. But yeah, that's actually happening now, and it's really great to see that we've started that from nothing to this level, and being able to unite Marshallese people around the world at the same time.
Technical Director of the Marshall Islands, Lloyd Owers, in traffic in London, hanging out with us here on Soccer Down here in the morning, giving us the Marshall Islands update. And also picked up with Lloyd at coachdevelopment.uk with all of the coaching knowledge you need. How many pinch me moments have you had, say, in the last 8 months?
How many
pinch me moments have you had?
I'm really sorry. I think this is where the traffic's killing me now. What was that one?
How many moments have you had where you're sitting there going, I can't believe what's going on here?
Oh, sorry. I think that was probably what caught me by surprise then as well, because that question still baffles me anyway. I think I have that moment all the time. I think I have that moment all the time where it's just like, this is actually happening. And especially, pre-session notes, we spoke about the guys in the US, for example. We've come across three Marshallese players, male players that play in the university system in the US, and to give those guys the opportunity to represent their country, their roots is amazing. So, but also just the opportunity to give another sport to a nation. There's not many times you can say that. I think if you look at most nations, they play most sports. So to actually give a country the opportunity to play a different sport on an international platform, and to be part of that process is quite humbling in itself. It's one of those ones you have to pinch yourself a lot of times.
How did you get involved in this in the first place? For those that don't know the story, how did you get involved?
It actually came about. So I finished a master's degree. I studied later in life, to be honest. I'd worked in industry for years and realised I wanted to go back and study the next stage. So I did a master's degree coming out of lockdown a couple of years ago. And then once it finished, I realised I'd missed writing for some reason. And so I started like a blog site and it was interviewing people around the world, putting some coaching sessions on just to help people really and raise awareness in different places and different people. And one of the interviews was with a couple of guys from Samoa, and those guys were incredibly passionate about what they were doing, and it just became a really popular post. And what it did was it spiraled my own network. People were connecting from LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook even, all over the place. And one of those guys was Shem Levi, the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation president. And next thing was we were just talking back and forth a lot of times. He asked me to put a presentation together of how I could help the nation. And then I spoke to the board, and I was offered the role as the technical director. The next thing is where we are now. It's a very random one.
What has the response been like with your family and friends who sit there and go, dude, A, where are the Marshall Islands? And B, what are you doing?
Everyone's still get it now, actually. Like, where's the Marshall Islands? So it's still a common question. I think a lot of people initially were saying that question, where is it, but why? But once you actually talk about the opportunity to be part of something historic, in the sense of you put in the game that the most popular game, arguably, in the world, on the map for a country, and that's part of history, and that's amazing to be part of. And once you start to tell that story, and also then it spirals off into helping kids play and giving a platform to the people to wear their nation's flag. And I think I've used a quote before around like that cool runnings feel to it. That's the joy of it. And once you say that and you have the passion to talk about it yourself, I think then a lot of people realise, okay. And what it's actually done is a lot of people want to be a part of it now. Like a friend of mine, I've known for years in the UK, he's a coach but also a teacher and good coach education background. He's going to do a couple of bits for us. There's another guy who lives in Canada, but British guy. I think he's now working with FIFA, who's now going to do some bits for us in terms of coach education. So people are helping out, and it's now being able to get to the point where the awareness is risen for the Marshall Islands.
How do you get there from England?
A difficult challenge. So I left So to put it into context, I think with a couple of stopovers, it took me 42 hours. So it's London to San Francisco, then a break, San Francisco to Honolulu, then a 12-hour break, and then Honolulu to Majuro in the Marshall Islands. So the shortest flight is 5.5 hours. So I think it's around 20, 27, 28 hours of actual flying time.
How does your body adjust to 20
honestly, my body was. I tried to stay on whatever the time zones were all the time, so I would just try to stay awake through stupid times. But the hardest part was crossing from Honolulu to Majuro in the Marshall Islands, because compared to the UK, Honolulu was 11 hours behind the UK, but the Marshall Islands were 22 hours ahead of Honolulu. So I was almost going 11 hours back to then jump 22 hours forward. So I crossed like the international date line. My body was absolutely shot to pieces. But I think it was easier going there because we had things to do. Coming back, then I struggled. Like 2 days after being home, I just remember just feeling like I been run over. I was I was really struggling.
How can folks help?
Continue to raise awareness of the story in terms of where the Marshall Islands are, what we're doing. But then the biggest thing for us now, and it's horrible to ask because I just, I hate talking about things like money and sponsors and stuff like that, but it is the way we have to grow now. And for us to be as successful in terms of combining, giving opportunities for the US-based players, but also being able to, I want to go and win this tournament next summer. I don't want to go and just, I don't want to be there just to make up the numbers. I want to have a competitive team in the futsal tournament to win it. So for us to be able to achieve that and get the best squad together makes it hard because, like I said, we have to use those US-based players. We have to use the players on other islands in the Marshall Islands. And that costs money, and we are still solely reliant on. So if anyone wants to sponsor in terms of partnering with us, we have a range of opportunities for businesses or individuals based on your budget. So you have budgets to suit, or opportunities and packages to suit all budgets, I should say. But if anyone wants to just drop money into our GoFundMe page, you're more than welcome. And our website is rmi.soccer. And Twitter, we are... what are we on Twitter? We are SoccerFedMI.
Yep. As a part of all of this, I don't think a lot of folks know here in the United States that the four corners on the eastern side of things, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Louisiana, in there, one of the highest concentrations of Marshallese individuals outside of the islands themselves, and they came to be employed by the poultry. It's work in the poultry industry. But yeah, one of the biggest concentrations is right there in Arkansas and Oklahoma. And I don't think a lot of folks do that.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, if I'm right in thinking, I think it's 30,000 Marshallese based around Arkansas, 15,000 in one town in Springdale. We've discovered a few that are playing, so recreationally with friends. Some play in spring leagues, which is great. And like I said, obviously we've got the other guys. So we've got two guys that play university level in Pennsylvania. We've got a guy that plays university level in Virginia, and another university level guy in Missouri.
How difficult is it for you to be a technical director 27 hours away on a flight?
I think when you look at it, you'd actually think it'd be really difficult, but it works somehow. We're able to make it work because I'm available on the phone, I'm available by email at random times and random time zones. We have good guys that are working there and running the calls for us in person, like the locals. We're doing online coach education workshops to help those guys and get things playing. I send out like weekly session plans for the guys to follow, and if they need to adapt it, they can, obviously. But just as a sort of frame of reference, But I think because we're almost in that like middle bracket time zone wise, because a lot of the players that we're going to be dealing with over time, especially long term, are US based, and I'm in that middle time bracket. I'm 11 hours behind the Marshall Islands. I'm around, depending on where it is in the US, I'm between 5 and 11 hours ahead of the US. So I'm in that middle bracket. I'm quite a fortunate position. I can talk to both zones quite comfortably. And I think that helps. And then what we'll do over time, once we get more funding and more opportunities and more sponsors, it allows myself and others as well to go out more often and then be on the ground more to help drive it to the next levels. So at the moment, it works somehow.
And it's been really cool for us to see. At Lloyd Owers on the Twitters, at SoccerFedMI on the Twitters. Be safe in traffic, my friend. I think I've got your basketball guy for you, too.
Thank you. No, cheers. Appreciate that.
So, Lloyd, be safe. We'll catch up soon, my friend.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Thank you for everyone listening as well.